You can't fathom my love, dude. Lock yourself in a room doing 5 beats a day for 3 summers. That's a different world like 3 summers. I deserve to do these numbers.
Oh, well, I tried to start a revolution but didn't print enough pamphlets, so hardly anyone turned up, except for my mum and her boyfriend, who I hate. But I'm actually organising another revolution. I don't know if you'd be interested in something like that. Do you reckon you'd be interested?
Family, welcome to Irvington Unbound, the official newsletter of the Sheridanstba Block Association. I'm your host, Jay, who's hoping you and yours are doing masterfully. Before we get started, please do all the YouTube things. Like, sub, share, speak. Let's get into it. Governor Murphy came out and said the voting on marijuana legalization will be taking place around Labor Day, as in September, as in thanks to Assemblyman Holly for being a G. Also, I have been offered a look at the revamped Assembly version of the bill, so if I'm allowed, look out for that video. In Block News, we have a community meeting on the 17th. That's next week. The lit is out, and it also provides a great segue to the directors meeting, where the DPW have been doing cleanups on the block in lieu of the absence of summer dumpsters. If I don't see any of the lit from the community meeting on the ground, I'll make the request. Continuing locally, with the directors meeting, the DPW and its head, Director Holly, received a ton of praise for the aforementioned initiative. There was follow-up on the allegedly poor timed lights. Apparently, the county engineer came out and said that they were fine. An answer not particularly met with glee. There was also a request made for better signage indicating where the handicap accessibility points are on the municipal building. We had the usual unkept properties, vacant, squatters, dead bodies, trash, and like. Economic Development announced the 7-Eleven and some housing complexes that do absolutely nothing for the current residents of this town. There will be another pest control meeting and rabies clinics. The township is auctioning off more properties, instead of keeping them and doing something with them, but that would require money that we're told we don't have. Despite council and mayoral pay raises, no one's going to bother cutting. Weird. In state news, what government shutdown? It's political theater, people. Governor Murphy has several new bits of legislation on his desk, including plastic bag fees, school funding reform, ticket sales, smoking at parks and beaches, hair braiding licenses. No, seriously, great illustration as to how tight our government is. Local news grants. Ooh, sexy. Might go for one of those. Payroll tax, school bus safety, school recess, opioid antidotes, naloxone in schools, panic alarms in schools, and homeless prevention. Also, the governor is beginning to push park testing out. A grandmother recently passed because PSE&G cut off service. If you have an elderly on medical equipment, make sure to notify them because they are legally obligated to keep the electricity on in those situations. National Republicans withdrew support from Seth Grossman, the candidate that made the diversity is crap statement. Senator Menendez is going hard in the paint when it comes to the virtue signaling. The competition that Lisa McCormick gave him in the primary has him shook. Huggin has a real chance at this seat. Granted, votes won't be coming out of Irvington, but Senator Menendez is so worked up, just like the rest of the left. He's freaking out over President Trump's Supreme Court nomination, even before it's announced. President Trump, by the way, picked Brett Kavanaugh. If confirmed, we can only wait and see, as would be the case no matter what. The Democratic Party and the left, liberalism, progressivism, all of these labels have connected a pattern of behavior that I wouldn't have picked up on if it weren't so blatant. They weren't crying so much for the obstruction, which is exactly what the Republicans, conservatives, right-wing did during Obama's tenure, but with far less self-righteous indignation. There was a woman from the Congo that climbed the Statue of Liberty on the 4th of July over the immigration situation. Over 200 legislators demanded that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer stand behind Maxine Waters, which, one, she's a strong, independent woman, so that should be unnecessary, and two, they were right. I'm siding with two people who I fundamentally disagree with because the left really is just this crazy right now. Speaking of lunacy, President Trump is at NATO shaking up the world, calling out Germany and other supposed allies for keeping a hand out but never pitching in. And as much as you may not like to admit it, as much as you may think that the United States is evil and a tyrant, bottom line is, he's right. These other countries need us a bit more than we need them. That being said, we're going to bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for putting up with it. Please do all the YouTube things, like, sub, share, speak. Are you still suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, or have you decided to, like the rest of us, just go about your life and pray for the best? Talk to me. By the way, greetings to the new subs. Thank you so much for coming aboard. So until the next video, love.
The Lord of Thunder sends his best.
The revolution has begun.
I squeeze, I squeeze, I squeeze, I squeeze.